No intro today. That is because of my own stupidity. I have to get to the supermarket to put money on the card to pay for the restream, yada, yada, yada. We'll be back. Be back by. We're also getting some here. I believe it's snowing quite hard today here in beautiful Seward, Alaska. I can show you guys actually. You can see there. So we've been getting snow all day today. So that's what we've been dealing with. Um, Show tonight talking about Trump drama, possibly getting arrested, him saying he's going to get arrested, barriers going up, all that. Gonna wait for Kareem to get here to really talk about that. So instead, we'll talk about what I'm drinking tonight. I've got cheap vodka here, and then I've got some pineapple cider. These are pretty good. I had one last week and enjoyed it. So we're gonna do it again. And then these things from the supermarket, which are great because you can mix them with vodka and they have energy, caffeine stuff in them. This is a tropical punch one, so gets the job done. And a copious amount of marijuana, of course. Uh, hey, look at that, a brown person.
I see how it is.
Welcome to the party. All right, so I think the main.
That was funny enough. At the PA convention, Mosh is like, "How many melanin people are in here?" And I'm like,
Oh yeah, you went to the PA convention. I think after we were on last, so I don't think we've talked about that.
"No, we haven't."
Cool. We
Me
can
and
go
Josh
over some.
talked about how most libertarians are autistic, or say autistic, autismo.
I mean, what's wrong with autism, Kareem?
Nothing. He just said like he would get in conversations with people. It's like we need to decriminalize everything. We need to decriminalize black heart heroin. He's like, no, that's not a good answer. Stop being stop being weird.
Homemade Four Locos. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm also stirring my drink with my dab tool. If that is not the most degenerate thing you've ever heard of, now you have.
Why don't you just get Folgers and mix it with Bud Light, and that's a homemade for logo.
Vodka and 0 calorie energy seltzers are the way to do it. So yeah, this episode, because I don't have the intro and I have that stupid restream logo up in the corner, I'll pull this stream down, I'll trim it tonight, and then I'll re-upload it. So it'll have the intro and that logo removed. Um, so that'll be helpful, look a little bit better. I just forgot to get over to the store to load money on my card, and I don't get direct deposit, and I don't have a bank account. So unless I want money to be somewhere, it doesn't go anywhere. Um,
So the
so
banking crisis won't affect you.
no, not at all. I also don't have a driver's I don't have a really have didn't have an ID for the longest time. I didn't have. I have very little documentation on me. I try to keep as little proof that I exist as possible. And I really don't trust banks because,
Well,
for
well,
obvious reasons.
if you study Buddhism or Hinduism long enough, you'll find out you actually don't exist, and neither does the ego. Or if
Yeah, that.
you really good weed.
Yeah, it's kind of gay. And then here's the torture, right? So the reason the show was late is because I was driving to go get my grandmother her food, and it's snowing and stuff, so the cabs are taking forever. And so cab finally gets back, and now while I'm streaming this episode, I have to stare across my desk at this burger that I just went and picked up at the restaurant that I can't eat until after the show.
I'm torturing you. Just turn off the camera at some point and be like,
Oh
"Rah."
God, I might.
I mean,
Hmm.
I won't be offended.
So I assume the big what if that's in the air is this whole Trump getting arrested drama. DeSantis just react to it. Tim Pool and his people were just on a live stream giving bullshit opinions about it. So figured I would do a better job. and I have a bit of some rants to go on. I'd also like to shout out this week something that was not there previously, which is a Substack that I've created. So you guys can go there to read all the random autistic ideas for articles that I come up with.
I have an
Currently,
idea.
I have up on there the an anarcho-capitalist take on the Monroe Doctrine, which I just published. That's to me sort of in is a good little blurb on some details about it and why I'm against it, and that it applies to the debate that just took place. It was mentioned a few times by Dave Smith and Eccles, whoever the little autistic faggy looking one that's on Twitter. That guy was talking about. I can't remember his name. Kareem's fro is coming in hot. You are getting a solid fro going.
Yeah,
But
okay.
you're lucky because it all connects. You
Yeah,
have like you have a uniform beard. My shit just doesn't do anything. It just gets long and then stays the same length. My hair does the same shit. It won't really get much longer than this. It just kind of stays here.
got the hippie look going. We're both.
Hmm.
I got the Uncle Ted look going.
Yeah,
Is he going to be on your Substack? 10 reasons why we should pardon Uncle Ted.
I'm sure I could come up with something to write for you about Ted. Cause
You know what? You know what? Tim Pool, I read a headline. He's like, AI will. Tim Pool kind of goes a little bit far. He's like, AI will kill us all. Chat GPT is more advanced than you know. I'm like, holy crap.
So we can talk about that because I watched that too. And I was just so listen. We'll get into this fully a little bit because this is.
I think ANCAPs don't want. I think the ANCAP community is divided. Some people are like, "Hey, it's Uncle Ted," and other people like Kareem. Why do you think he's a good dude? He did this, this, and this. I'm like, well, he wrote a manifesto about AI, and he might be right.
Yeah. So here's my take, and I'll say it again. I don't think AI is evil. I think it will again adapt into something that is used much like a Google search engine or an algorithm that can be used by businesses as a sort of front-end chatbot system. The idea that this is anything other than just implemented just like you would a text generator or a image generator or any other generator is it's the same thing. I don't see the scare tactics people are using this sort of apocalyptic tone when it comes to the AI stuff, and it gets really irritating to me because I'm like, the people who are being the most apocalyptic about this shit are the people who don't know anything about what it is they're talking about. And the reality is it's just a piece of fucking software. Like, and everybody's losing their goddamn mind over something that is going to get a lot more intense over the next 20 years. Like, it's not like this is slowing down. And the reality is things like ChatGPT and these systems that everybody are mad about are going to be adapted and turned into other implemented tools that will have more free speech elements. For every chat GPT that exists, there will be a competing market competitor that is offering a better service. And so I do believe if you believe in the free market, then you believe it should be solving this problem. And I don't understand why people don't believe that that will be the case.
Well, okay, I think so. I think we can both agree that that title was super hyperbolic. Like that,
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you need to tone this down because some of your headlines are ridiculous. Like, if people will read that and like freak out, like AI is gonna kill us all. Oh my god! Like, I'm John Connor and do something dumb because people generally do ridiculous things when you tell them stuff like that.
Well, because people are dumb.
Yeah, I get it, but it doesn't help when you make headlines like this because people will read headlines and go, "Oh, okay, that's how it be," and then they'll act upon it, and generally they don't do it in a rational manner. And yeah, the Vonage commercial was popular. Let's just say that. That being said, I have some significant concerns with how the people behind a lot of the stuff who are creating this. I have significant concerns that people will stop like people want to make it like Terminators will be attacking us, that they won't. It'll even make them think less for themselves, and they'll just say, "Well, this thing said it, so okay."
Yeah,
Um,
but AI, the reality is AI isn't going to be the thing that creates that. You mean you could very easily have a military the way that we do today, the way that Obama liked it, where decisions are made surely based off of drones and electronically controlled
yeah,
devices that have nothing to do with anything that artificial intelligence does. They're just unmanned crafts or unmanned bots or unmanned items. It doesn't matter whether AI has implemented that. In reality, what AI could do in that resolve is make it so that there doesn't have to be somebody behind the joystick, which is that's a possibility. But the reality is, you can do that without the artificial intelligence. You could do that through many other different methods that they were going to do anyway. So it just
yeah.
doesn't seem. It doesn't seem like anything different than we would have eventually or already have anyhow. I mean,
I'm afraid.
we're watching footage from Ukraine and Russia of the Ukraine using DJI drones to drop fucking grenades on people's
Yeah,
heads in trenches and talking about how, oh God, we're going to have robot dogs. Well, here's the deal. I don't care about the robot dogs. They're not a reality. There's none that are walking around blowing people's heads off. That is a reality. There's a DJI drone that has to do with somebody with a remote control. It isn't controlled by AI, and it's blowing people's fucking heads off in trenches. So, I don't know. Is the AI really what we need to give a fuck about? Like,
I don't really, not particularly, but I think it's interesting some of what they're saying. I'm not worried about necessarily the takeover, but like we'll see. I'm watching it.
oh, like Tim Pool just had this guy on who's talking about he sells like these permits to use this resort with like the survival shelter set up, and it's supposed to be like if the end of the world comes, this is a group of people that'll protect each other, right? I started looking into the facilities this guy's has, and it's the biggest crock of shit that I have ever seen somebody try to peddle. It's like, dude, you buried a bunch of concrete like structures. Whoop-de fucking do. Like, do you not think somebody's just gonna drive a fucking tank through that, or better yet, just put a bunch of explosives on top of it, or I don't know, just wait? like, I, like the reality of all that shit. Like this idea that you're gonna build an underground bunker and be safe. It's like, have you ever seen like a smoke grenade? Okay, imagine what is gonna happen when that's done to your entire base.
Yeah,
Like you're gonna be begging to get out of there because you're gonna end up like the kids of fucking Waco. So it's this idea that you're gonna be safe commune of people living in a fucking concrete bunker will be blown up. Can say the word blown up. Uh,
yeah. Although one
and
thing
then
I
he
will
had
say is, go ahead. No, I was gonna say like Angela's the only reasonable guest in a while because some of his the stuff they've been saying, I'm like, dude, this is so far out there. Like this is just getting ridiculous. Like I'm not
yeah, I
against
have
any.
a bone to I have some bones to pick with the LP right now. So I am I'm getting to my wits end. The state of Alaska is completely ignored by the on the national perspective by just about every libertarian establishment that exists, and that goes for parties, for affiliations, for groups, for communities, for any of your shit. This state is seen as a nothing burger. I'd like everybody right now to open up their phones and to go to LP National Twitter and go ahead and type in to their search. You can search their individual Twitter account. Search the word Alaska and see how many times it's been mentioned by the National Libertarian Party, the party that is supposed to be talking about all of the issues these states have. I've come to the realization that if the LP is not willing to help the smaller groups, the groups that need it the most, that already have libertarian base uh, populaces, willing to help, really. I've got to take these next couple weeks to evaluate what it is I'm doing. I've put a lot of energy and time into things that no one seems to notice or give a shit about. and that is what it is. And I've come to the realization that my efforts are better used in other places, right? If Alaska's going to be ignored by the national platforms and by the people who are supposedly fighting for liberty in some manner, then I'm either going to have to be fighting for another party or another group, or I'm going to have to go back to being independent, or I'm going to have to move to another state that has a little bit more respect and try to work within that LP. But I don't know how that really changes the problems I have. And I know a lot of people won't care about this. They don't. It seems like a nothing burger, but it hurts to see a state that has a population that is small, impressionable, and pro liberty that isn't being put to use whatsoever on a national scale.
Yeah, no, I don't know why people won't like come out and visit, and that's one thing I'm like, go visit Alaska. These people could turn from red to yellow if you just put in a little bit of effort. I'm not
And I
even
agree 100% with what Patrick is saying here, by the way. To play devil's advocate, I feel like LP National focuses on the asshole states to appease them. Not that that's a good thing, just the truth. And I agree with him. I think that is the truth. And I don't think it's a good thing. I think, in fact, it's a bad thing. And when you open up the LP National Twitter, or anything, really, any media platform they've put out, I suggest you search for your state and see how well they're advocating for you. Because I did, and I did search some other states, and it's not well. It's not Alaska that's the only one that doesn't get any attention. It's a lot more than that. And the argument can be, well, it's because the old people, and this is the new people, and this is the different establishments. But the reality is, the old people weren't mentioning it either. No one was. So it's the entire party that has a distaste for this place or doesn't
yeah,
notice
okay,
that it
fine,
exists.
but you know what old people do a lot?
What?
They vote.
Yeah, but
Old
right.
people are generally the ones, like when I went to a Republican meeting, even though they said something about it, it's generally older folk who are like, hey, we're kind of worried that this is going in a bad direction. I was the only young one there who's like, yeah, let's actually do something about it. And that's actually, I think, an issue is people like, they're older people. Yeah, but those older people actually vote and they actually do take a look
Okay.
at the
So
issues.
so here's an example, for instance. I posted a video tweet that was also put out by multiple news stations in the state of Alaska. It was of a representative from one of the boroughs here in the state of Alaska, saying the quiet part out loud and stating that it's better if abuse victims end up dead because it will save money for the state in the long run. That was a perfect example where LP National could be making a statement regarding that would have made a lot of people in Alaska who were publicly talking, because that guy's name trended on Twitter, were publicly talking about what he said. They could have been on the record saying, we disagree with this guy's statements, we think it's abhorrent, and it's exactly what the government does every day. And instead, it went silent. No one on that side of it talked about it. I was the only one who made a tweet regarding it, other than one other person on the libertarian side in this state. And it's depressing. It's depressing to know that none of the other people, uh, you know, uh, there are so many other states that resemble the situation we have here as far as population and way the state's laid out. I've mentioned multiple times the fact that we're a state that has boroughs very well similar to Florida, very well similar to that state. Um, I've said that, using some kind of strategy, that they have would be a smart idea. But at the end of it, I don't have the power to do things here, in the LP,
Yeah.
and because there was never any kind of takeover here, there was never any structured advancement, and the reality is, right now, I can't get that. Like, I don't see a way for me to be successful in anything in that regard, just because of what we're dealing with on from every angle. So at this point, I have to take a step back, reevaluate, and kind of go, okay, what am I doing? And that might mean I go back to just fighting a lot harder for the state of Alaska from my normal position as a LP member, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. So
Yeah, no, I understand your grievance, and especially
no,
because,
and this I want to address this in the chat. This isn't the same thing as Josh. I don't feel like any caucuses or anything have done anything at all to me. It doesn't have anything to do with those groups. This has to do with the a specific problem I have with the way that LP National chooses to market other states and affiliates. And that decision clearly means that they're going to be tweeting about states that they feel that need to be targeted and need to be talked about, and it means that other states are going to be completely ignored. And the state of Alaska is certainly one of those states that is going to be completely ignored. And you have somebody over here. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I can put out content and talk to people and go interview individuals. I've done all of that stuff in the past for publications here in the state. I have a record of doing some of that stuff. Um, my door's always open. My phone doesn't ring, so there's not like there's any people out there attempting to reach out to find out what the situation here is. And if they are, they're talking with people who are not relaying any of that to anybody I know. So it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I know it's a bit of a useless rant because again, it's just an issue
no,
for
I
my
don't think it's
state.
useless. Wait, I don't think it's useless. I think you have a good point here because people need to know, like, when the LP is not doing the right thing, I think they need to know that, like, you need to know if you're like, look, you let me know about Scott Ritter. We harassed him. It wasn't just me; it was tons of people. We got him off. Like, there's important things sometimes to bring up, and if you got to rant about it, you got to let people know because, hey, the good thing is now that I can jump in and be like, hey, you know what? Here's a problem I can see, and then this problem can be potentially rectified. So
Yeah.
I don't mind a rant, and also, I mean, there's things I don't particularly like about the Libertarian Party, as well. Even stuff I disagree with Mises on, but that's fine. Um, you
Yeah,
know,
I'm just in a position at this point where I have to recalibrate and decide whether, because at this point, if I stay in the LP, until I do move, part of my fight then becomes trying to get the LP to even notice the state. And so now I feel like I'm fighting two different battles. Like I'm fighting to get some recognition on a national scale, and I'm fighting to get recognition within the state. And I can do that, but I'm going to have to really sit down and decide if I want to do that, if it's worth me expounding time and what will ultimately have to become money, because I'm going to have to pay to go to events. I'm going to have to pay to go talk to people and get my voice out there. It's a tough thing. I went on a little mini tour of conventions and met a lot of people and had a lot of great chats, and none of those people really gave a shit when push came to shove about anything that I've got going on or anything my state has going on. So I
well,
think there's a
we're
lot
gonna
more
change
fake
that.
people. I think there's a lot more fake people than people think in the
I
liberty
believe
movement
it.
in general.
I believe it. There's a lot of fake people in politics in general, is what I found. There's a lot of people who claim to be one thing or claim they do this that actually turn around and are huge hypocrites. And I'm not going to say I haven't said some things and then gone back on them. There are days, literally, where something bad happens. I'm like, man, I really wish I could make a law to do this to fix this circumstance. But I'm like, no.
You know
Nah.
what's even more depressing about that is that I met, like, take Yao for instance, right? At
Mhm.
Yao, I met probably a dozen podcasters and content creators who talk about this stuff, and I met um, probably 100 plus quote unquote political people who are in the political field of the Libertarian Party and Forward Party and random Republican pro liberty party and whatever.
Yeah,
And you
whatever.
know what I came to find?
Hmm.
Every single one of those people that were in the political side of it never talked to me again after those conversations we had. They never showed any support for anything I gave a fuck about. But every single one of those podcasters or content creators, I'm still in group chats with to this fucking day. So that should tell somebody something. Like, either people are in this for politics and they're really in it for control or power and kind of getting to be the big dick swinging in the room, or they're in it to fight for liberty. And if they're in it to fight for liberty, then they need to check their fucking egos at the door.
Mhm.
Because that's how this entire system's got to work. Otherwise, it's going to fail. And you're going to end up with a bunch of people who feel exactly like I do right now. Because they're going to feel like every other state is getting that same treatment. Now, again, not leaving any parties. I'm not doing anything. That's not how I operate. I'm going to take a real breather and look inward and look outward at the situation, decide what it is I got to do. But it is what it is. You know, there is not much going on here that I see as being good. Put it that way. Um, I see not worth burning yourself out if the state national ain't pulling their weight. Yeah, and that's where I'm at. Like at this point, is it's gonna have to be okay. Well, then, um, am I taking on the responsibility of being uh, the voice for the state? And am I gonna go against everybody and just be a complete fucking savage? Because I don't think that's what people really want. We'll put it that way. To put it frankly, politics was not my first gig on the internet. So, I
Same.
have a history of editing. I know a decent amount of YouTubers. I know people in that kind of content creation space and that side of things. And I'll tell you, the drama that happens in those spaces compared to this political space is not even fucking comparable. If you want to see drama, dip your toes in that water. This ain't nothing I haven't fucking dealt with before. And Chumley is Joe Fogler reborn. I fucking wish. No, I'll. So there's an instance, right? Um, Hickel won under the AIP banner. He won under a third-party banner. That is something that the libertarians should talk about. Like, this is a guy who became governor of the entire fucking state of Alaska under a third-party banner that previously had won under 5% of the vote. Like, how is that not something that anybody scholarly, anybody on the political side, like, where are the podcast episodes from these bigger creators talking about any issue going on here or any problem going on here? It doesn't exist. There isn't a
Yeah.
push for it. The only person who's talked about Alaskan issues on podcasts or gone out there in the libertarian sphere talking about it has been Eskimo Libertarian and myself. And Eskimo Libertarian doesn't really do that stuff as much now. I am the only person talking about any of this stuff in the libertarian sphere, and that's fucking depressing. you know? It's like not depressing as in depression, but depressing as in it's not going to get any better. VTuber drama, Jesus Christ. Oh, these are naturally toxic people who want drama for attention and clicks. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
I've dealt with that.
I think there's a lot of people, unfortunately, in the liberty sphere on the right who are just doing stuff. And I even warned people about this. I said, look, I enjoy watching Stu Peters and Bandot video, and I look at it a little bit every day just to see what's going on because the mainstream media lies constantly. Fair enough. I don't think anybody's going to debate like MSNBC or a bunch of psychopaths with CNN and the rest of them. And they orchestrated wars and they just do the bidding of the establishment. The problem I have is I see people in the right wing sphere who are like, they want to get popular. So like, oh my God, the banks will all collapse tomorrow. It'll be a financial reckoning. There'll be nuclear war. There'll be this. There'll be CBDC in every home, and they're coming for you. I'm like, you're peddling the fear stuff. You're just trying to get big. And sometimes I question, do they care about liberty? Or do they care about using the current crisis?
They care about making money and gaining power and subscribers and a base. Like, that's the thing, is like, the reality is, like, everybody knows the formula to make money, just like any other group of people. You just do a daily stream and you say what the people who watch you want you to say. And as long as you continue to do that, you make fucking money. Like
Oh yeah,
YouTube, the dirty secret to YouTube is it is about consistency. If
be
you are
aggressive.
willing to put in time and you're willing to put in the effort and consistency, you will make money. You will make it. Period. End of story. It's just statistics. Now,
Yeah,
there's a
but
bunch of
then you
people who will tell you that you won't become successful on YouTube because it's this giant cesspool of content creators, yada, 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 yada. The
no, it's
second
bull.
you upload consistent videos, YouTube's system recognizes that and they will always push your videos or your live streams to more people. You will always gain more traction as long as you don't go the route of DSP or any other number of lolcows on the internet. You will be fucking fine.
Yeah, but the problem is, yeah, I get it. That is true, but a lot of people become grifters. I feel like in the thing where it's
Yes, because that's easy. Because it's the easy way to farm views and money off of your fan base.
yeah,
Grifting
and
is simple.
literally, I have friends. Anything that chant like oh, they said this with the banking system, and I checked this. Oh, my bank said this, and then they're like, oh my god, I gotta freak out, and I'm like, calm down, calm down for one thing. When this whole medical thing said, oh, are they gonna come to my house or make me? I'm like, no, listen, stop watching this stuff. Oh, but Kareem, the Who's gonna do this? I'm like, look, listen, these people on the right might be well intentioned and some of their content is good and some of it's true. Some of it's hyperbolic, and that's the issue I have is that there are a lot of people on the right who like those podcasters who just want to get clicks. They don't care about the state of the world. They don't care about the wars. They don't care about anything. They just want to look cool. Like, hey, I'm reporting on that or I'm making stuff. Um,
You don't even have to be clever to work the algorithm in Griff. You just need to be very morally flexible. Yeah, I mean, listen, open up any of your favorite YouTubers. Go back to the starting of their channel. Why did they become popular? Was it because one video went viral? Because
no,
that's what we're all told. Is you get a video that goes viral, you become famous. That's never been the truth. No one
it's
actually
not
makes it
ever.
that way. The channels that get thousands and thousands and thousands or millions of views all at once on one video, it takes them forever to gain any traction on those channels again because they get completely shot out of the algorithm. They don't get included in it for a very long time. It is a very complex system, but in reality, it is based on being consistent. And if you can be consistent while tearing apart your morals, as long as your fan base enjoys what you say, they're going to go along with it and throw dollars and shekels at your feet. And so somebody like Tim Pool, somebody like basically anybody in this manosphere, the Republican red pill side of things, are
What about
all
Alex Jones?
Oh, absolutely. They all operate on this. Alex Jones' job is to identify everything that happens as a conspiracy theory. He may be right, and that's fine. And his followers will always laud him for the things that he gets right. They will pay no attention to what he gets wrong. And that's the problem. Is you have an echo chamber in every content creator. You're going to have an echo chamber in this channel, by the way. The name of this channel is Outlawed Thoughts. The entire purpose of it is to put ideas out there that you're not going to hear in other places or that are said in a different way that might be construed as bad or outlawed or evil by the other people who aren't in this chat and on this channel. That is the point. I don't want to make friends. I don't want to make a following. If people show up and want to listen to what somebody here has to say, that's great. I try to find interesting interviews. Getting a following helps with getting people to notice you and get interviews with you. That is the only reason to grow on YouTube. If you want to make money, you just get to a core audience. You just need a couple hundred people. That's all it fucking takes.
What
Like,
what if what if I want left and right libertarians to allies so we actually do have something in case of
good luck with that. Like, that's what's killed half of the libertarian podcasts that have started, in case you didn't notice. Like, the reality is that method is never going to work. I don't care about politics. My stories are about cultural impact and what my opinion and your opinion and other people's opinions are. Those opinions might come from a libertarian anarcho-capitalist perspective, but I don't give a fuck what party you're a member of, and I don't give a fuck who you're hanging out with at a dinner party politically. It doesn't matter to me. It matters what your opinion on the culture of the story that we're talking about is, what the impact of the story is, how it's affecting the world, what it's going to do to the market. You know, too many people are getting hung up on party politics, and that same party politics is what is destroying the individual movements locally. And I'm like, I'm watching it play out going, well, what the fuck are we doing? It's not just happening in the liberty movement. It's happening in the conservative movement and the progressive movement. It's all over the place. So stop trying to make bottom unity happen. Yeah. There is no unity. Unity is dead.
No, we're working on it. You know, you give your Bakunin homies a fist bump and be like,
I'll give them a fisting. I'll be right back. I got to grab my bong.
That's not nice. That's violating the NAP, man.
Oh, well, way to keep the chat entertained. Jesus Christ.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, man, I'm just chilling.
It's all right. Yeah, I had to go grab my bong real quick. It's all good. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's where I'm at. I'm just looking at all the different stuff out there. Fracturing is inevitable as movements grow larger. You can try coalition when it makes sense, but otherwise focus on actual shares. Focus on who actually shares your core values, and not just on economics. Yeah. So that's a big thing for me. Is it's like I don't. At the grand scale of things, economics, I am knowledgeable about them. I know about them. I can tell you all about them. I can tell you why what we're doing is wrong. None of that matters. Because at the end of the day, none of it's getting changed by us being able to tell people what's happening, because nobody gives a fuck that we can tell them what's happening. And so instead, you need to make yourself richer, put yourself in a better position, and fuck everybody else. And that's not agorism either, because you're going to have to get involved with politics. Those people are just as fucking stupid. So,
you know, but I'm friends with it. Here's the thing. I think the core value of decentralization is shared by a lot of people. So if we're going to talk about core values, okay. At the end of the day, I don't hate agorists. I just say this: look, you can do your thing. There are good agorists out there, like Larkin Rose, who does documentaries. My friend Justin Padilla, who you know, does his comedy and his.
Speaking of which, I got followed by Mr. Acapulco yesterday.
Yeah, there you go. That's another one.
What's his name? Berwick. He followed me on Twitter.
Berwick has done some good stuff, although I've heard some very bad things. But like,
yeah, that's why I was mentioning is because he's done a lot of shady shit. And if he followed me, I'm thinking, could I get him? Like, maybe I'll get an interview. Like, try to get him to agree to an interview.
Okay. Well, here's the thing that I would say. His show Anarchast is how I found Kokesh and learned more about the philosophy, because I was kind of on the fence at the time. I said anarcho-capitalism was pretty crazy. And then I learned more about the agorists, and I said, okay, agorism is a nice tactic. The problem I have with agorists is they come at us and they're like, you're the enemy. I'm like, no, I'm actually trying to help and buy you time by using legislation. If you don't like that, that's too bad. I'm still going to do it. So I don't hate agorists. I just think
I think they're wrong.
I think that I think a lot of what they're doing is good. I think a lot of what they're
doesn't have anything to do with whether they're right or wrong.
Now, I don't think they're wrong. I think here's what I think they're doing.
I don't think you should kill your neighbor. It doesn't mean I'm a Christian. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I get that. Well, I mean, like, what I am saying is, I don't think they're wrong. I think they're missing the fundamental pieces, like the state exists. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, what are you going to do when they do this? They said, we'll just ignore it. I'm like, that.
Drugs.
Yeah, we'll just ignore it. We'll put out documentaries. We'll do this, gardening, this, peaceful parenting. All that's fine. Cool. I like that. That in and of itself isn't going to stop the state completely.
No,
But
it's gonna piss them off.
it's fine. Like that, I like. Like I like some stuff that Eric July does. Like Eric July that said he doesn't vote, but he puts out some dope music and things like that, and that's fine. Like I don't have to pull Eric July, out of his house and be like, "You got to vote. You got to be politically."
Eric July doesn't vote, but he considers himself an anarcho-capitalist.
Yeah, that. I mean, like, but to me, that's kind of, I guess, to me, the only real big difference, if you were to put like your hand on the button and say, what, if we're gonna use labels here, the real big difference is I think ANCAPs will get involved politically. Agorists say would just use black and gray markets. We're not gonna.
Right. So you're doomed to get fucked in the ass by the government and rounded up into train cars. And you'll be the first to have it done because you'll have all the independent wealth. Welcome to fucking Germany, cocksuckers.
I
Like,
mean,
I listen, people can think I'm wrong about this, but the reality is I've got history on my fucking side. Those people are the first to be targeted by the state. They're the first to get fucked every time.
yeah, because I get it. They accumulated resources. They know how to live off the land. I'm not saying everything about, like, I'm friends with agorists. I don't hate agorists.
I don't hate agorists. I think they're wrong. Like, I just
I
don't
don't
think they're
even
right.
think they're wrong. I think they're missing a fundamental piece as the state exists. So
Yeah, that's called wrong. That's being wrong. That means their equation's wrong. The answer to it's wrong. Like,
I
that's
think
just
they're
my take.
partially wrong. Okay, fine. They're partially
That's called being wrong. Like, what is wrong here? I don't understand. That's being wrong.
You can be, well, I mean, you can, if you're right about some things and you're wrong about one thing, you're not wrong about everything.
No,
Like,
you're just wrong. I don't understand what I'm not getting through here. If I said to you, I'm going to build a rocket that goes to the moon, right? And then I laid out all the equations for all the parts that I had to design and build for it, right? And then I said, hey, there's this seal gasket that doesn't really fit right, but I'm going to wedge it on there anyway, and we're going to launch this thing, and then it blows up. It's called the Challenger. It happened. My mom was a kid when it took place. She watched it on TV. And you know what caused it? A little rubber fucking seal. A little seal that big. So they were successful in building this giant rocket, and then they launched it, and it blew up in the sky and killed a bunch of people, right? Why? Because they were wrong about one thing in a giant fucking schematic. They were wrong. They're still wrong. Like, it doesn't matter how wrong you are. You were wrong.
so, but okay, fine. You can say they're wrong. I do like their bodies. Like, I mean, Larkin Rose is giving me.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that, Ted. You want to create
No,
content. They're not wrong on those issues. I just think the grand total of their belief structure is incorrect.
okay, fine. We can agree to disagree on that. Same thing with Republicans. Same thing with ANCOMs. Same thing with ANPRIMs. Same thing with mutualists. There's a little piece missing there for me. Even though I like those people, there's a little piece missing.
Right. I agree with you there. I think ANCOMs are the most retarded little issue right off, but
No, they're good folk.
actually, I guess no, that's not true. I'd put Democrats lower than them.
ANCOMs are good. ANCOMs are good people.
ANCOMs are. We're not gonna get into this again. You're just gonna
Go,
piss me off.
go fist bump your favorite syndicalist.
Okay. I guess we could chat about this towards the end of the show since I went off a fucking tangent this episode. I'm sure people will love this. I'm definitely fitting to get some DMs. Hey, by the way, Patrick, if you're still in the chat, feel free to send me a DM and talk to me about the Florida convention. I'm interested in coming out, but I got to figure out housing and staying around that area and hotel crap and all that. And then I'm gonna figure the rest out. I don't have those days off from work, so if I go, we'll just have to wing it. Uh, Autists and caps are autist and ANCOMs went full retard. That is a fucking tweet, Joe. Put that out.
Well, what did the state go then? Because they're worse.
Say again?
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
what did
sorry.
the state go then? Because they're worse.
Yeah. No, I'm Florida convention. Yes, I'm definitely interested. Yes. You can keep your kids homeschooled to ourselves and homeschooled, but that's not going to stop everyone else's kids from negatively affecting your kids when they grow up, and they'll vote for even bigger government. Yeah, I know. This is the extent of the argument is look at a state like Alaska, right? We have a higher rate of homeschooling. We have a higher rate of all these things. More people who trade rather than going and buying products. We have more people living rurally. We have more homestead land than any other state. All these different things that we level up to. Guess what? Government has grown here and we're getting fucked the same way as everywhere else. And that'll continue to happen in any other enclave that tries to do the same thing because that's how the state system works. So until you succeed or can build your own community that has its own laws, agorism ain't going to be the solve to your problems. It's all going to crumble under your feet eventually, and your kids are going to be doing whatever it is the people around you want them doing, and you'll have no say in it. It might take 10 years, it might take 20 or 30, but eventually you'll get fucked.
Yep.
So, onward to the future. We're talking about Donald Trump. Because Mr. Orange Man himself has gotten himself in some hot water regarding hush payments made to Stormy Daniels, which is that whore that was a porn star person. She looks ugly as shit, by the way.
Yeah, she ain't even that hot. Why is he trying to get with that? But I mean, that's a different story.
This is one of those Ace California pineapple ciders, and it's
yeah. I want to say one thing. I feel like when you accumulate too much wealth, and you start to throw purposive behavior out the window when it comes to the opposite sex. I'm just saying that is my observation.
Oh, dude, I'll fully agree with you there. I don't think anybody would argue that. That's just psychology.
It's like, I'm a billionaire. I'm going to go like date that chick. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? Or I'm going to date that girl. I'm like, is she even like, or I mean, like a dude's
right,
like
but
Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, man, you're
but this is the thing that you're missing here, though, is that, man, take Leonardo DiCaprio. Let's go with that. Do you know who the girl that he's dating is? Do you know her name?
She's some model.
What's her name? Do you know it?
I don't know. Some chick.
Okay. How long ago did you hear about her?
I don't know.
Did you know she existed? Did you know she existed before she got married to Leonardo DiCaprio?
No.
Right. That's my point. So, in every single one of those situations, that woman that is the so-called victim there, she's playing the field just as hard as the fucking guy is. She just became one of the most famous models in the world by name recognition. Like, she will be forever known as the wife of Leonardo DiCaprio, this person who has this career. She'll get more jobs from it, she'll get more money from it, she'll get more fame, and then when he dies, she'll get a fucking chunk of that. Or he decides to divorce her, she'll get a chunk of that. So, it's a win-win-win. Who gives a fuck? Like, and she's an adult. Like, she's not a kid. So, I don't give a fuck about that. More of what I'm like, I could see there are probably situations where it's a little different, but I feel like when you get richer, you just dating and sexual relationships and having friends even becomes less of a thing that actually you give a fuck about, and it becomes more of a thing where these people are just who I have to be around because I have money. So, rich guys aren't going to be going out and really having relationships with poor people, right? Because they're not around poor people. They're around rich people. So, it's just a weird, world trying to figure out what goes on there.
Yeah.
While the political folks, while the political folks teach their kids that getting involved politically is immoral, which side will dominate the culture you live in? Right. Yeah. This is purely great. Yeah. Let me guess. She's under 25 years old. She is indeed under 25 years old. And she's hot as shit. Let's be honest here. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Kid.
You think you could get her? I bet you could get her, Leighton. Show her your new beard.
Yeah, if I had a ski mask and duct tape.
No, pull some moves on her. Use that libertarian autistic pickup lines. Be like, hey, girl.
Libertarian autistic is the ski mask and duct tape.
You wouldn't run some game on her. Be like, hey, baby.
Do the shit Whitmer style.
Actually, Danny.
Get the van!
Well, I mean,
I'm going to be interviewing Brandon Caserta, one of the guys that was involved.
I don't know. I think Danny did talk to him today, actually. Or
yeah, no. There's he's been doing interviews, but he's finally sent me some contact info and stuff. I'd been waiting for kind of a response to get him on, so we're gonna interview him.
That's who Danny is.
That's
get in the van. Why can't you be like, hey, girl, me and my boy's gonna audit the Fed. You want to hang out? Can I get it in?
The problem with women is they can run away, Toad. Tower Gang quotes. Jesus Christ.
I mean, not if they're real fat.
I can't run fast, but I run with power. If you try to stop me while I'm running, it's going to be a problem for you.
What about Outlawed Thoughts goes to the gym?
Oh, God. I would... so I have offered... I publicly offered... everybody is a witness to this. It was a whole thing. I publicly offered to show up to the Reno convention, strip down to nothing but a diaper, and sumo wrestle that fucking trumpet salesman, fat fuck from Pennsylvania. That, what's his name? He was in the old LP bullshit. Waldenberger.
Waldenberger, yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I was gonna fucking sumo wrestle Waldenberger, and the fucker didn't agree to it. I publicly called him out on Twitter, whole 9 yards.
He gets mad at me for everything. He's like, so
we are close the same size, but me and him, what he does not understand is that you can be, and I've talked about this before, but there are two versions of fat. There is fat while being sedatant, meaning you sit at home, you don't do anything, you don't really do a job that involves doing anything, you never really did anything, and so you're just a blob. Yeah. I am very fat. I am an overweight guy, but I'm also on a little bit of the taller side. I have very broad shoulders, so I can carry all of it. I have gigantic, fairly big, legs. And I spent most of my childhood working outdoors and doing shit all day long.
Yeah, and you get the ladies.
So I never had a problem with, I can lift a good deal. I can fight. I, have been in fights. I've been.
And you banged Leonardo's girlfriend before him. You're like, hey, I gave her the D.
You know what's funny is maybe that's why he goes after younger girls. He's like, I never want to be somebody in Hollywood's Eskimo brother. It's just his forever quest of.
I mean, maybe. I think he's just a fucking weirdo, but.
Oh, come on. If you had money and power, you'd be going after the same chicks.
Man.
I'm 20. How old are you? Are you over 30?
How old do I look?
That's a weird one because you got that A-crab look to you, so it's hard to.
I got my Taliban beard going.
It's hard to. I'm gonna go 28.
No.
Am I over or under?
Under.
32.
Close.
34.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that makes sense. So you're 12 or you're 11 years older than me.
I got my Arab beard going, my Taliban beard going.
Yeah. Well, so do I. To be fair, I'm also actively emailing back and forth with a bunch of people in Afghanistan because I plan on traveling there. So, if any of us are getting flagged at this point, I think it's me.
Oh shit! Oh shit! I Patch McCain's gonna be at your house. What are you doing, Leighton? We need to
uh,
go back there and fight for American values. I didn't lose my eye for nothing.
JC, I actually made a YouTube video about Rick Simpson oil. You can view it on
Oh,
the.
that's the thing to heal cancer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on my TikTok if you want to see it over there, but it's on
Well,
Twitter and
I have a
other places
question. If
too.
you're going to Afghanistan, can you acquire all the weapons Biden sent? Is that why you're going? You're like, hey, here's
No,
my ammo, bitch.
I'm deciding where exactly I want to go, but I
Yeah.
kind of want to go find amber. I used to be really into that, and the amber trade's still pretty cool, so I'd like to go look for some of that. And then amber. So tree sap.
Yeah.
You know what happens to it when it sits for a very long time?
No, it becomes sappy.
No, it gets hard, and then it turns into this really pretty amber colored, like brownish, gold colored, soft stone. So a good way of explaining it.
Taliban coalition building.
Um, well, I'm talking to some people over there in Afghanistan because I'm planning on traveling over there, and I want to find a place that has good museums. Because if you don't know, there was an Afghanistan or a national museum in Kabul, but it got raided after the whole thing. So I'm trying. It's apparently open again, and I'd like to go see that because it has some Silk Road stuff that's cool.
You don't want to get any of the weapons they sent over? I do not, by the way, I do not think the Taliban would be down with you smoking weed or doing anything.
Well, for the record, there is a thing called hashish,
They're,
and
they're,
that, regardless of weed use, isn't really seen the same as weed. Because hashish is like over there naturally mixed with tobacco. It comes in like, you know, it's already kind of made up, but
it's yeah, but it's haram.
oh, it's 100%. You're not. Yeah, it's fucking. It's yeah. That. It's not. That's not why I'm going over there. If I was doing that, I'd go to Turkey. Turkey has the best spots for like Turkey. You can go to like these
Yeah,
areas in the middle of the fucking desert and just hotbox in the middle of nowhere.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
like,
Larry the Kabul guy.
well, I do have some spots that have not been revisited since since the whole thing happened and everybody poured out of the country. So, and they happen to be in areas that are really fucking out there. So the reason I'm emailing people is because I'm looking into getting guides who are not necessarily the normal, hey, I can translate for you guides, but more of the, hey, I have a fucking RPG kind of guides. So I'm having to like research and find, contact info and do that whole process. But it's been actually pretty easy. I've gotten a hold of a couple
Leighton
guys.
goes to Afghan. Hey, Taliban leaders, you hear Joe Vogler? They're like, we're
Well,
inspired.
I have, if I decide to go to Israel, I have a couple expat buddies that are living over there, um, who went.
I told you were Mossad.
They're over there, and I can hang out with them, and then they can warn me not to do what I'm about to do, which would be going over to the Palestinian side to go bullet with the people that I actually want to meet. So.
But wait, if the LP doesn't work out, you could join the Likud party with Netanyahu.
If I move to Florida, apparently there's a. I don't know. I'm reading up on things I could do to fuck with people in Florida. Not necessarily fuck with people in a bad way,
Throw a gator
but
at them.
no, things that I can do to actually like make my voice heard. That's the gayest thing I've ever fucking said. That's faggy. But make my voice heard. I have a couple methods that are definitely um, not necessarily things I would have thought of doing in Alaska, but would actually work over there. So that's interesting. Callum from Lotus Eaters went to Afghanistan post U.S. occupation and uploaded a documentary about it. I watched it. It was fucking great. It's great. He actually went there on the advice of Miles, who was missing. But I was listening to Tism last night, the best hidden podcast on the internet, with the Quartering and Count Dankula. And Count Dankula confirmed that Miles is alive. He is fine, but he does not know or didn't say more details than that because he said it was going to come out in the news in the next day or two. I'm assuming that'll be out sometime today or tomorrow, but Miles is supposedly safe. So that's good. I don't know what the situation is, but he's supposedly safe. This whole Trump arrest thing, what's your take on it? You go first.
I don't know. See, here's my issue with this. I think it's BS. They're just going after him for anything. If they really wanted to get on him for something, there's Yemen, Operation Warp Speed. There's other things that he's done that's way, way, way worse. Even like pardoning Blackwater people, hiring a bunch of Bush.
Oh God, I thought you just said pardoning blacks. I was like, Jesus, Kareem.
Blackwater. Hiring a bunch of Bush employees. My issue is that, like,
I trim my bush.
it's not your beard. But, like, my issue is this. I honestly think it's one of two things. He's saying, go out and protest, go out and protest. This could be another January 6th thing. Like, oh, hey, everybody's here protesting. Round them up. Or it's just a distraction from what's going on in the banking industry.
The banking industry, you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like your take. I mean, that's basically where I'm at. I think it's an opportunity. It's clear that this was looked at previously by higher courts and deemed not worth it. So they're doing this because they have the power to. And I do think at this point the arrest, quote unquote, is going to happen. I don't think people realize what kind of arrest this is. This isn't a felony, so he doesn't actually go into custody. It's just basically paperwork and a stern talking to until a court date happens. I do think it could be possible they're hoping to get in front of a grand jury and indict him and actually get the charges to stick. But I don't know if that's really going to happen. It's possible, but it might not really matter. I do think that Trump's reaction to it, telling people to protest and stuff, is good, but I also think it's kind of playing into what I warned people of a few days ago when this news first came out, which is I do think this is grounds for an interesting conflict. I'll tell you why I think it's good.
My issue with going to protest.
It's good because the right-wing party needs to get used to this. Okay, and what I'm about to say is not going to be liked by a lot of people, but I want this to be very clear because this is my genuine opinion, and I think if you don't have it, you're probably stupid to the reality of how history works. But the Democratic establishment supported riots in the streets through 2016, all the way through the pandemic and all these different fucking horseshit burnings of people's businesses throughout the summer of love and all of that. There has been no repentance of any kind from that establishment of people. And the Republican establishment had a lot of people that were bad on that topic as well, who folded on the issues. You had billions of dollars in property damage of not to the state and government, but to normal everyday citizens who built up businesses, who owned franchises, who went to work every day to build something for their fucking families. And now you have an opportunity where that same thing can be shown. Hey, we're making a stand. We're not doing these. We're taking a step back. The Republicans need to be prepared for when those protests happen. If you're going to counter protest and kick off some kind of war, I don't really care at this point. Like, I'm willing to say, bring all of that shit on if it'll help dissolve this system and let something else be put in place, or be not put in place in my case. But the reality is, the Republicans don't protest. They're not willing to get violent. They sit at home. They don't do nothing. They watch the TV and they call up, moms and red fucking shirts show up at the Capitol building and complain about how they're not getting justice. That's how the Republican establishment gets things done. So I do think the Republicans being out there and protesting in the street is a good thing. Like, I do. I think them getting used to it and the possibility that that'll lead to a counter protest is interesting because it'll force the hand and make people see what they're willing to do on one side of the fence.
We'll see. Could be a setup.
Oh, fuck yeah, absolutely. But at that point, if it's that many people, who cares? Like, it's going to happen eventually anyway. I figure just get it the fuck out of the way. I do think he's going to get arrested at this point. Them putting up barriers and things and taking precautions, they wouldn't spend the money necessarily or put out the public effort unless they planned on it. So I'm assuming somebody's given him word and he's gotten word to somebody else and all that. DeSantis said he's not going to get involved, all that. So tomorrow supposedly is the big day. If he does get arrested or not, I'll stream probably around 5:30 my time. So a little earlier than today by about an hour. And we'll see what happens. But I think that's where we're going to end it. We talked about the Trump thing for maybe 20 minutes, 15 minutes this whole show. But it was still fun.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I don't know. We'll see. Like, it's not something I'm like losing my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm not either. It's not a big issue for me because I think they're all crooked, so I don't really care who goes into the cuffs. Like, that's just kind of my point of view on it. Now I think what they're charging him for is kind of bullshit, but it probably might have happened. Like, and if it did, then it might actually be illegal. I don't know. It's a weird situation, that's for sure. Buying them time for at least 4 years, Elon and Trump have done a lot to bring conservatives into the fold for the Great Reset agenda. Yes, that is a great point. I missed these by chat. I was scrolled up. I'm sorry. People on the right should protest more often, but protest. The Trump arrest feels like it is set up a Mar-a-Lago raid. Yes, I do agree with that. This is a complete setup, but it's probably going to happen. So did the Mar-a-Lago raid, right? Like, so I think it's going to take place. The arrest will make Trump seem more like an authentic dissident and catapult him to the presidency. The Dems have been a disaster, and the elites want to pacify the disgruntled right. Yeah, I agree with that too. This does seem like a big fat plant to project him into the future. I think it's going to be good for him from the Republican side of things, for sure. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed Outlawed Thoughts episode 51. Kareem is on Twitter at Kareem4Liberty, and so am I at Leighton4Liberty. Or, I'm sorry, Kareem is at Kareem4Liberty, and I am at Liberty Leighton on Twitter. But I'm sure you all follow me. I was recently on Adam Nutter's show. I suggest going and listening to that.
He's not funny.
Porcupine. Yeah. Kareem was in chat for that one. I talked about Gene Moe, a guy who killed a bear with a tiny knife, and talked about the Joe Vogler stuff. So take it easy. I will catch you guys later. Tyler Yonke's show with Garbage Main is coming up soon too, I believe on the 24th. That is the conspiracy episode, including 60 seconds of conspiracies. I'm going to write that tonight, so I will be on that episode too. Looking forward to that. Take it easy, guys. Peace.